Well, g'day there and welcome back to Welcome to Consciousness. This is episode number 7 and I'm talking about honoring our dark side, accepting the darkness and really honoring what's dark and what's light. And this is something that I've really just started exploring recently because it's really taken a journey of experience to understand the nuance and just how this journey of consciousness actually is also a journey of shining light on the darkness where that shadow self comes into the light more. Over the past 12 to 18 months, I feel like I've had so much growth in my journey of consciousness, in my awareness, in my connection to the present moment, to myself, to trusting my intuition. And I had this expectation like it was going to result in this place where I experience more love and more joy and more peace more of the time. And 100%, the more conscious we become, the more we can let go of the mind and of the suffering and of the things that we've been holding on to that are in the shadows. And we do experience more of those. But recently I've realized there's been this old conditioning, kind of this expectation that being conscious should look like, let's say, a better life or a life filled with more love and joy and happiness all the time, and that there's kind of that expectation to be like that. Whereas what I'm learning is the more light you embody, the more light you shine on the shadow side, which is equally a part of who we are. It's part of the polarity of life. The duality is the light and the dark. Being conscious isn't getting rid of the darkness, it's going further into both. It's becoming more light and becoming more aware of the darkness. And so as I've journeyed through my own growth in this area, and last year I hired a spiritual coach to work with for 3 months just to focus on raising my consciousness, to realize at the end of it that I had become far more aware of the depth of my wounds, of my pain. And I didn't really feel that much more free, even though I had become more conscious. And the sky's the limit as to how far we can go with that. But every time that we become more conscious, more self-aware, more connected spiritually, the more we become aware of what we've been blocking, what we've been hiding, repressing, suppressed, the deep traumas that we've always bypassed and haven't wanted to deal with those experiences or things that have blocked the love and the light and the joy and the peace that we can have in our lives and in our relationships. And we need to be able to hold ourselves through that and then release that shadow self. And that allows us to experience more consciousness, but at the same time, it allows more of the shadow to come into our consciousness, ready to be processed and to be integrated into who we are. And it's a challenging thing for the mind to get its head around, for us to really talk about. And recently I've had a number of experiences where I've had deeper emotions coming up, and in the past I realized I've pushed them away a lot. I pushed them down even in my journey of healing. It's like, no, I'm just letting them go, and I'm letting go of the dark side, the anger, the shame, the guilt, the fear, so many other things that could come into that, those heavy dark energies. And it's like I don't want that in my life. And then I've realized that part of this is being able to experience it all. As we become more conscious, we experience it. And so a couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting outside and I just had this energy that was blocked in me. And I started to feel into what it was. And it was anger. There was just so much anger under the surface. And I've been on a journey where I really haven't felt and experienced my emotions a lot over my entire lifetime. I've done a lot of childhood and ancestral healing on those very things. And now I'm getting to a point where some of those deeper emotions are coming up. And naturally, because of my conditioning, I want to block them and push them aside. But what I've learned recently is the importance of being able to accept and even honor that kind of darkness, because it's not going away. It's part of this life, this human experience that we've got. We've got pain and we've got joy. To try and push away the pain, to push away any sort of low vibe feelings that have been suppressed within us, will only keep them there. We move through them by allowing them to come into consciousness, and we're all looking for better tools to release them gracefully and to not be bogged down in them. But keeping the door closed or having an expectation like we should always feel amazing, always feel light, always feel more love and joy, and not feel anger, not feel hatred, not feel fear, not feel the guilt or the shame, well, that is to deny so much of ourselves, because all that's in there. We can't get rid of those things. We've had those experiences, and so they're there. So we either live in truth, in more consciousness, and face them, heal them, integrate them, and become more aware, or we keep pushing them aside. And it's a really challenging thing even to describe, and it's something that I've found has been very humbling through my journey, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to become conscious and I'm going to figure out what spiritual connection and truth is all about, just to realize that really it's not something you figure out. It's not something that then you can fully understand. There's no point to prove when you become more consciousness. There's no belief attached to it. There's just shining the light on everything. The light and the dark. Our higher self and our shadow self. The soul and the darkness. So in many ways, I feel like I'm coming face to face with this shadow side as much or more than ever, even though I have become more conscious. That has allowed me to do that. And what I've learned is that our nervous system can really only handle so much. Our conscious mind can only handle so much from the subconscious. So it's only as we're ready to see it and hold it that it comes into awareness. And so before I get you thinking more about you and how you can apply this, I wanted to share that over the past, say, 6 weeks or even 2 months, pretty much since I started this podcast, I've had so many emotional things, shadows come up, and I've shared that already in some of my topics. One thing that's been very close to me is that my dad has had some really serious health challenges, and I don't want to share what those are at this point, but it's brought up a lot of conversations and a lot of topics about health, about emotional and mental health, about the past and our background and ancestral. It's also brought up with so much of my own journey and the inner healing and depths that I've gone into myself and haven't been able to talk about, haven't been able, especially in my mental health, haven't felt understood or held or seen in those things, but the opportunity to talk about them and to essentially shine a light on what those things are. It's also challenging very strong belief systems that I have had in my past and that many others around me have had. And so what I really want to say is this: if you are experiencing the shadow side, if you are feeling like it's heavy, like you feel blocked, you're facing trauma, you feel like you're freezing, or you're fleeing, or you're wanting to fight, or you're wanting to fawn, constantly people pleasing, maybe feeling some really strong emotions, whether it's anger or it's rage or it's guilt or it's shame or it's rejection. And you have this tendency to push those things aside, or to feel like that maybe you're not doing a very good job of becoming more conscious. I know when this shadow side comes up in family situations or in my parenting, I can feel like a really shit parent sometimes when my kids are letting it all show. And it can make me feel like, wow, I'm not doing that good a job of being conscious. And that very thought pattern, I'm realizing, actually isn't what consciousness is about. It's about shining light. It's about becoming more aware of even those thinking patterns, of the emotions under it, of allowing them to be, of accepting them and even honoring them, because they're all coming from somewhere. They're all coming from an experience we had in the past when we were shut down, or we were hurt, or we were suppressed, and maybe a trauma from an experience, or maybe just a trauma from a kind of generational experience where we weren't allowed to feel our emotions. For example, as a child, we were told to suck it up, and we just learned that it's not okay to feel those emotions, or to take time for ourselves, or to put ourselves first in certain situations, to have healthy boundaries. And so now we go through this process of becoming aware of that and relearning those things, building those things into our lives, integrating them into our minds, emotions, spirits, and bodies, and integrating a higher consciousness, connecting more with our true self, our inner self. And it's all part of the process of integrating that shadow side, of honoring and accepting the darkness that is there and will always be there. So next time your shadow self shows up, take it as a compliment that you're ready to see that part of yourself, to feel that part of yourself, and notice your tendency to want to push it away and to ignore it, or to see it as an inconvenience. It's your inner self, often your inner child, wanting to get your attention, to honor that part of yourself, to feel what you didn't feel, to love yourself where you're rejecting yourself, to have a healthy boundary where you've constantly let others walk all over you, to reshape some thinking and beliefs where they haven't been serving your highest self and your highest purpose. So we're going to wrap this one up now, and I know it's been kind of short. I really wanted to just put that out there because it's such an important concept on your journey of becoming more conscious. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having it right. It's not about having it all together. It's not about being a perfect person or parent or worker or holding all your emotions together perfectly. All that's the bullshit. All that's just the mask. Consciousness is about exposing the mask, letting that go, being real, being raw, being authentic, being your true self, being honest. And a lot of people and a lot of parts of society can't handle that. They're not ready for that because they haven't experienced that themselves. They haven't allowed themselves to drop the mask and to be real and to be authentic and feel it all and experience it all and know themselves deeper. And so being conscious is all of that. This is a wild ride into your most rawest, deepest truth and your rawest, deepest and highest potential. It's a journey that I'm on. I've in no way perfected it. The more I search for perfection, the further I get from it. So it's not about that. It's really this journey of your own inner truth. And you know your truth. You know who you are better than anyone else does. You know the next step you need to take and the next decision. You know what's in store for you. And so trust that part of yourself that knows. And I look forward to having you tune in next time, whenever you're watching this, whether it's just after I've recorded it or it's years down the track and you've found this. And I want to wish you all the best with your journey with consciousness, and I'll look forward to seeing you again. So there we have it. Thanks for joining me on Welcome to Consciousness. My name's Michael Reed, and I'm here to help you consciously live and create your life. If you enjoyed this, please click subscribe and follow. There's a lot more to come. Also, if you could rate or review it, this would really help others find this show. Also, if you want to share this with a friend or on your social media, please go for it. And if you have any questions about your journey, please reach out. I'll answer them directly or on the podcast. And lastly, if you want personal help consciously living and creating your life, I've created a coaching program that helps you do just that. You can head to my website for more info. So thanks again. Have a fantastic day. Look forward to seeing you next time.